Selling a house in today's market, man, it can feel like a real uphill battle. But what if there was a little-known strategy that could completely change the game for you? So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a powerful tool for sellers, temporary seller financing. It might just be the secret weapon you've been looking for.
All right, let's kick things off with a big question. What if you could just bypass the traditional banking system when you're selling your home? I mean, just imagine opening up your property to this whole new pool of really motivated buyers who are currently locked out of the market. That powerful idea? That's what we're diving into today.
Okay, but before we jump into the solution, we got to talk about the problem, right? We're calling this the seller's dilemma, because if you've tried to sell a property recently, you know the frustration is absolutely real. It can seriously feel like you're trying to navigate a maze blindfolded.
Look, every seller starts out with this perfect picture in their head. A quick sale, full asking price, and a perfectly qualified buyer. But the reality? Phew, it's often a total nightmare of lowball offers, endless haggling, and then the ultimate gut punch. The deal collapses at the very last minute because the buyer's financing falls through.
So how do you fix this? How do you bridge that huge, frustrating gap between what you hope for and what's actually happening? Well, the answer is all about unlocking an entirely new market of buyers. And the key to doing that is a strategy called temporary seller financing. And the concept, believe it or not, is super simple. In essence, you become the bank, just for a little while. And this one small shift does something incredible. It opens your door to thousands of excellent potential buyers who traditional banks have kind of unfairly shut out, labeling them as unqualified.
Okay, now, full disclosure here, this strategy isn't for everybody. It's really ideal for sellers who are in a solid financial spot. Specifically, people who own their property outright or have at least 60% equity built up. That equity, that's your safety net. It's what makes this whole thing possible and secure.
All right, I can already hear you thinking, whoa, this sounds super complicated and maybe a little risky. But honestly, the way it's set up is surprisingly simple. And this is the best part, it's designed to be completely hands-off for you. Let's break down exactly how it works.
It all boils down to just 4 simple steps. That's it. First, you just offer this financing as an option. Step 2, and this is the magic ingredient right here, the buyer makes their monthly payments to a professional third-party loan servicing company, not directly to you. These guys are the pros, they're bonded, they do this for a living. Step 3, that company handles all the paperwork, all the annoying administrative stuff, and finally, they just forward the payments right into your account. It's a clean, professional system from start to finish.
And I really want to drive this point home. You are not getting into the business of collecting payments. The entire system is designed, just like it says here, to be completely hands-off for you. You're not going to be a landlord, you're not a bill collector, you're just a seller who's using a smart system that pretty much runs itself.
Okay, so we know how it works, but now let's get to the good stuff, the really important part. What's in it for you? This is what we call the seller's winning edge, and trust me, the advantages are pretty powerful.
Well, the biggest number one benefit, you get to command a premium price. I mean, think about it for a second. You're not just selling a house anymore. You're also providing the financing that makes it all happen. That is a huge value add, and it gives you the leverage to price your property the way you want. A lot of sellers actually end up increasing their asking price when they offer this. It's a game changer.
And hey, the perks don't just stop with the price. You can pretty much say goodbye to all that painful back-and-forth haggling. You'll start attracting multiple full-price offers, and suddenly your house becomes pretty much the only game in town for a whole group of really motivated buyers. What does that mean? It means you can close fast, often in less than a month, and you get to customize the terms to fit your needs. You're in total control.
Okay, but let's be real. Anytime you're talking about financing, the question of risk comes up. What happens if the buyer hits a rough patch and can't pay? Well, the good news is, this whole process has multiple layers of protection built right in, specifically to safeguard your investment.
The main line of defense here is something called mortgage protection insurance. And listen, this isn't optional. It's a required policy that the buyer has to purchase. It protects your investment against major life events like an accidental death, a temporary job loss, or a disability. It makes sure you keep getting paid even if the buyer faces some unexpected hardship. It's basically your ultimate peace of mind.
The whole deal is structured with security in mind from beginning to end. So it all kicks off when escrow closes. That's when the sale is official. Then, just 60 days later, the buyer has to show proof of that insurance policy we just talked about. And maybe the most important part, this is not some 30-year commitment you're signing up for. The whole thing is designed to be temporary, wrapping up in 12 years or even less, so you always have a clear finish line in sight. So when you look at it this way, this strategy completely reframes the whole selling process. You're not just selling a house anymore, you're actually offering a solution. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Could your property be the solution that a whole new group of buyers has been desperately looking for? It's a pretty powerful thought.